everyone, Jamie Maloney here, host of the all-new That Business Show 2.0, where business becomes show business. New episodes air weekday mornings at 7 a.m. and thatbusinessnetwork.com via the video stream, and then made available on demand on iTunes and on YouTube. So my guests today are Danielle Lindner and Dr. Steven Lindner. They are the CEO, founder, and CFO of the London Day School, an educational outlet that they started. So let's welcome in this duo, Danielle and Steven, to the program. Danielle and Steven, welcome to the program today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Jamie.
Absolutely. So first, I will begin with just a basic question. Tell us about the London Day School, what this is, what its mission is.
Well, I started the London Day School because I had young children. I was a working mom, and they were in preschool. And, they were being nurtured and cared for, but they weren't really being challenged. And, sometimes kids are in preschool for many hours during the day, and they're sponges at that age. And I felt that they could be getting more from their program. So I was an early childhood educator in my former life, and I decided that I was going to create a preschool program that focused on STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, and character education, as well as, IQ and EQ, so intelligence and also emotional intelligence.
Okay.
So teaching kids about being, all the academics, but also focusing on being kind and caring and knowing what to do in certain situations and, addressing the whole child.
Okay,
so that's where it really came from.
So you were in academics to begin with. Was this your first path down, running a business on top of being an educator? Or did you have other business experience before the school?
Yeah, actually, we had lots of experience.
Okay.
For, I guess, serial entrepreneurs. I'll let Steve handle that question.
Well, Danielle and I worked together building the Workplace Group, which is a international talent acquisition and recruitment process outsourcing organization. And so we've got a combined business experience of 20-plus years. So this was really venture number 2. And we just never get tired of it.
But going into the educational system had to be a challenge. I mean, I couldn't imagine having to deal with like the demands and the wants of the parents, and you're dealing with people's children. You're entering into a whole nother emotional component of the human being. What was it like, when you began to run the London Day School, from that perspective, from listening to the parents' needs and concerns?
Being a parent myself, I think, put me in a good position to do this. So I have the educational experience of being a former preschool teacher and kindergarten teacher, and then being a parent. So I know what's important. I know that when a parent brings their child here, that child is their entire world, and it's a privilege for us to have them. So we try to address all the needs of the parents, but from the perspective of what's best for the child. And sometimes as parents, we don't really understand sometimes what is best for the child. So, we need to explain that to parents. So sometimes a parent might think, oh, my child is not really ready for school, so even though they're signed up for 5 days, I'll just bring them for 2 and see how it goes. And the reality is kids need consistency. So even though it might be hard to bring them in every day and they might be crying at first, by bringing them in every day and being consistent, those children adjust much faster and they really get a great experience. So it's things like that, and also just being caring and understanding of new parents, because sometimes it's not that the child isn't ready for preschool. Sometimes the parent isn't ready for preschool.
Right,
so
right. I hear that.
those are some of the things we deal with.
Now, you're based in New Jersey, correct?
Yes, we are.
Okay, and
but
go ahead.
We are franchised nationally. So if anybody wanted to open a London Day School in their community, we are franchised from New York through California.
Wow, incredible! And we talk about franchising a lot on this program. And so, how long before you began to franchise the London Day School, and roughly how many outlets do you have today?
Well, we're just kicking off the franchise program. So we have a corporate location, and we have a number of individuals who are very far down the route in the franchise program. So we hope to have additional outlets being opened this year. And, we took our time in creating a franchise program that made a lot of sense. We wanted to be very different than the competitive landscape, and we wanted this to be focused on education and kids, and really producing kids that had more than just academics to them, but good character, good inner voices, and a good sense of confidence. So
now Now, it's to me, I don't know of a lot of franchises even in the educational system. Is it common to have franchises with private schools?
Well, sure. There are lots of franchise preschools that are out there. Most of them require millions of dollars of equity in order to just build a facility, and aimed more to people who are running businesses as opposed to necessarily just passionate about education. So our model was all about building it so that a person passionate about education, it doesn't necessarily mean they need to be an educator, but they need to have a passion for education, could get involved and could actually establish facilities by retrofitting into existing spaces. And of course, they can build a facility, but our facilities don't have to look like every other facility. We really want them to fit into the character of the community and make this available to a lot more people than our competitors.
Okay, so this is a little bit of a learning curve for me because I'm not a single. I don't have any children, so I've never been in the educational system with kids other than just my own personal experience, obviously. But I grew up in West Virginia. I'm in Florida. I remember Montessori. Is that a franchise, a preschool franchise? Is that something that's a national school?
Montessori is more of a program and a philosophy.
Okay.
So it's not really a franchise. And we have our own philosophy. We have our own curriculum and our own way of doing things and our own focus. And the only reason we went down the franchise route was because we wanted to make it easier for people to take our program and bring it into their community. But like Steve was saying, it's more important for me to make sure that we have people that are passionate about education first, and not just looking for a real estate investment. These are children, and sometimes you'll walk down the lane of the franchise conventions, and you'll see a liquor store franchise or a preschool franchise or a car wash franchise. And if someone comes to us, and we've talked to hundreds of people, and they say, I'm looking at a yogurt shop or a preschool, I say, take the yogurt shop, because this needs to be your passion and your first choice.
Yeah, I could imagine so. I mean, being a teacher is definitely, it's almost like a calling. And then you add a business owner on top of that. You're definitely going to have to love what you do. But then again, it's possible to be a business owner and turn the education over to the people that do that best. Of course, you can do that with any business. Now, the London Day School caters to preschool, pre-K, kindergarten. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
We start at 18 months and we go through kindergarten.
Incredible. And so the London Day School, why the name London? What's with the name? Anything behind that?
Yeah, actually, I lived in London as a child for a little while, and I really loved the fact that I was exposed to a multicultural experience. And that's what I wanted our parents to know when they walk through the doors of our school, that their children are going to be exposed to a lot of different things, a lot of different, exciting experiences. It's not a daycare. So, we're different in the sense that most franchises start at infants and go up, and they say it's a school, but it really is a daycare experience. We are really a school, and we're really committed to that, and we really feel that when a child gets to 18 months, that's when they're really ready to get into the preschool experience. But before that, it really is a babysitting situation. And, we don't have that here. We are really an academic institution, and that's what we want to be.
And so talk to me a little bit about the curriculum then for the kids as they enter. Let's say they enter at age 18 months. What type of program, what does their day look like?
Well, at 18 months, they're really just getting used to being away from mom or dad. So a lot of the year is just getting them adjusted. But then, there are things you can do with 18 months old that's science. So we'll bring in a pumpkin and we'll dig it out and they'll look at seeds and they'll count. And then when you bring it up to the that same pumpkin into a kindergarten classroom, you're talking about growth and chemistry and ecology and biology, and we just you add. We have a scaffolding approach, and you just build upon that as the kids get older. But then I also have a series of character education books that I've written called Miss Danielle's Preschool Buds, which is also a television series on Amazon Prime. And we use that as part of our curriculum to teach kids about character and finding their voice and being comfortable in their own skin and learning about being happy with themselves so that they don't become those schoolyard bullies.
How does the experience differ? And you were in early childhood education before you began this business. For a child who is put into a daycare / a preschool program versus kids who at age 5 walk into the educational system for the first time, talking about the differences that you see in the children that are prepared earlier versus the ones who enter in at age 5.
Sure. Well, when I taught kindergarten, I really saw a huge difference between the children that had preschool and the kids that didn't. For one thing, the one major thing was adjustment. In our preschool, we talk a lot about transitions and teaching kids to be okay, moving from one thing to the next, sharing, learning how to share, having conflict resolution. And the children that were not exposed to that preschool education, often it took them a lot longer to adjust to kindergarten, to learn about conflict resolution, to learn about teamwork. And those are all really important things to learn at a young age, and I did see a lack in the kids that didn't have that preschool experience before kindergarten.
Hold that point there. We got to take a break here. Currently, again, talking to Danielle Lindner. She is the CEO and founder of the London Day School, alongside her husband, Dr. Steven Lindner, who is the Chief Financial Officer. And you can learn more about this at londondayschool.com, and also take advantage of your franchise opportunities. Just go to londondayschool.com/franchise to learn more about that. So we got a lot more with them when we come back from the break on the all-new That Business Show 2.0. I am your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.
Our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring-type products, hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Hi, Jackie Skelton from JR World Travel here. If you travel, you need a licensed professional travel consultant, not a computer. Your licensed professional consultant can get you more for your time and your money. Value for your money and experience, not marketing salesmanship. When you're sick, you call the doctor. When you need legal advice, you call an attorney. So the next time you want to go on any type of travel, call your licensed professional travel consultant who actually represents you. We specialise in group travel, family reunions, weddings, to escorting large groups or making special arrangements for the disabled. Please call 844-249-0190. We are a full-service travel consultancy offering worldwide concierge service. Air, land, sea, rivers, resorts, locally, nationally and internationally. Remember that number, 844-249-0190.
And we're back to the all-new That Business Show 2.0, where business becomes show business. New episodes weekday mornings at 7 a.m. on thatbusinessnetwork.com. And you can catch us on demand anytime on iTunes and on YouTube. So we're talking to Danielle Lindner, CEO and founder of the London Day School, alongside her husband, Dr. Steven Lindner, CFO of the operation. So Dr. Steven Lindner, let's direct the conversation over to you. Why the franchise model? Why this direction?
Well, I think for us, this direction was a great strategy for us to bring the London Day School to many communities, and that's really was the number one priority here. We want to enable people to be able to bring this program everywhere. I think a lot of people sit there and they say, "Gee, why? If I want to start a preschool, why would I consider a franchise?" Well, I think there's a number of reasons why people ought to consider that, and that's just because the market has tremendous amount of competition, but there's also a tremendous amount of opportunity. And when you're out there with the larger preschools like ours, you have to have proprietary curriculum. You have to be able to create national exposure. You have to have marketing and PR professionals. You have to have standard operating procedures. You need to really know how to run this beyond just the walls of a school. And when you're busy running a school, you don't have time for all those things. So that's where becoming part of a franchise program and a larger system really benefits and allows passionate educators to do something really meaningful and successful in their community.
Yeah, it's like being a doctor. You want to let the doctor be the doctor and not worry about, paying the bills and, cash flow issues. You want the teachers to be the teachers and let all the business stuff be taken care of. And that's a great thing about franchises. They're perfected models or nearly perfected models that are, ready to wash, rinse, and repeat. They can be put out there onto the marketplace and people out there can pick them up and be ready to go. And so the London Day School here, just another of that model. Now, talk to me about the demand and the interest in this. What are you seeing from the community in terms of interest in your product?
We are receiving lots of interest and demand, and even in the markets that we're serving, we've seen year-over-year growth, despite what competition moves into an area. And I think that's the big promise here. And I think it's because of the uniqueness of what we're offering in terms of the curriculum, in terms of the character education, in terms of the afternoon enrichment. I think it's those kinds of things that are making a real difference because more and more women are pursuing professional careers. So, today we only have 16% of U.S. households where you have a stay-at-home mom. And so that means, moms, 40% of them are now breadwinners, and they are wanting something more than just a safe haven for their child. And so this kind of program is very attractive in the changing demographics that we're seeing in today's economy.
Now,
the nice thing that
go ahead.
The nice thing that I'm seeing too is, in the past 5 years, almost every preschool franchise that could possibly pop up has popped up in our neighborhood. And yet, with that, despite that, year after year, we have tremendous growth in enrollment. And I think it's because even though we are offering also a franchise program, our program is so different. It's so unique that we don't really have to compete against those other franchises, which is really great. And it's really something that I think that's why we're getting so many calls and so much interest, because they're realizing that, there are many neighborhoods that have plenty of preschools and plenty of preschool franchises, but it's the right fit. It's getting the right fit for your child, and that's what we're really offering, something really different.
How does crossing state lines with regard to regulation and education come into play? Is that a problem? Is that a challenge for the franchise model with the daycare / preschool models that you have?
The regulations from the state?
Yeah, just different states and opening up these types of schools. Is one state more restrictive than the other, or is it a pretty even landscape across the states, though?
I have found, at least in New Jersey, and I would say it's probably very similar across the nation, that the state departments that regulate preschools and daycare centers, the Department of Children and Families, really wants to help you. They have been really phenomenal in helping us open 8 years ago. They really just have the best intentions at heart. They want you to have a great program. They're there for you if you have questions. So between the state being extremely helpful and us also taking a concierge approach to help our franchisees, it's really a nice way for someone who wants to have a great business to do something wonderful for their community and for themselves and have a nice work-life balance and make a living doing something that makes them happy and makes other people happy as well.
Now, you mentioned earlier your Preschool Buds program. Elaborate a little bit more on this. What is this?
Sure. Well, I noticed that when we first started our program that we were addressing all the academics, which is really, really important. But one of the things that I saw in my preschool and also in middle school and high school was that there was this bullying that was going on in high schools and middle schools. And why is that happening? And I realized it's because we're not really addressing character education enough at the preschool level. So I wrote a series of books and curriculum called Miss Danielle's Preschool Buds that addresses different issues that affect kids. So, being Kobe the kangaroo who worries all day, or someone getting glasses and being upset about it, or someone being afraid of the dark. And ultimately, what they really address is being happy with yourself so that you can be happy for others, so that you know how to share with others, so that you know how to make friends, so that you know how to have good conflict resolution. And by doing that, when our kids graduate, we have seen they are the nice kids. They are the kids that don't become the schoolyard bullies, and they're academically really sound. So, if we are producing academically sound kids that are nice kids, I think we've done a great job.
And you hear so much about anti-bullying in the news, and again, I'm not a parent myself, and I just, my only experience with education is the time I went through it, and I can remember being bullied, and I remember the kids that I knew to stay away from. But in today's school system, how prevalent is the problem of bullying out there today?
We fortunately live in a community that really addresses those things immediately if things happen in the middle school or high school. But, if you just look internationally on the news, it's sad how much bullying is still happening around the nation. It's certainly getting addressed better than it used to. I mean, I know when I was a kid, if someone bullied you, it was sort of like just deal with it on your own.
Right. So today, with all the, we're hearing so much about, anti-bullying campaigns and the problems with bullying in schools. And what about people that say that, bullying, it's part of life? If you segregate people from, that in school, it's not going to prepare them for the real world. Because, when you get out into the workplace, it's a tough environment. You got to know how to deal with strong mindsets and people that'll push you around a little bit. How would you answer to people that make that argument?
Well, I think the main thing is what we teach is conflict resolution. So, there are different personalities. Steve is really good at talking about that because he certainly deals with those in corporate life all the time. So what we teach kids is how to deal with different personalities, because there certainly are different personalities, whether they're 2, 3, or 30. Mm-hmm. And then, hopefully you teach kids just if it gets heated that you can walk away. I'll let Steve comment a little bit on that as well.
I think first of all, it's really important to teach kids to have that inner voice and inner strength and confidence to know it's time to walk away and it's time to reach out and share the story and get some assistance from teachers, particularly in a school setting. In the work setting, similar advice is also given. But instead of going to teachers, you're going to other work colleagues, or you're going to, human resource managers or directors, depending on where the bullying is coming from. But it's really important that people who are being bullied recognize that this is a bully, and that you need to walk away. You need to control your own environment and not allow that bully to take control of you.
At what age do these kids begin to display the bully persona? Does it begin in preschool with the people that are going to be that way?
Well, I don't know if there's any clear empirical studies that prove that, but I do think you can think of people you've grew up with that you've known who, have discovered that if they speak loud or they stand tall or they threaten violence, that they tend to, to get what they want. And those patterns, sure, can continue into adulthood. And that's why it's important in school environments that teachers and educators recognize that right away and give these individuals a different set of tools to use to try to influence, to try to express how they're feeling and what might make them happy, and then to teach other people how to deal with those differences and recognize that sometimes those things can be strengths.
Good information. Well, we got to wrap up the program again. LondonDaySchool.com/franchise. Danielle and Steven, for people that are interested in pursuing maybe a franchise here, what would you recommend for them? How can they get in contact with you? Should they go to the website?
Yeah, they can go to a number of places. They can go to LondonDaySchool.com/franchise. They can also go to DanielleLindner.com, and they'll see a lot of information on the franchise and the Preschool Buds and the Amazon Prime television show as well.
All right, sounds good. Well, Danielle Lindner, CEO and founder, alongside Dr. Steven Lindner, CFO of the London Day School. We thank you both so much for taking time out of your day to be on our program.
Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun.
Thank
you, Jamie.
And again, you've been listening to the all-new That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.